Hey YouTube, it is your Global Sparkles here today with a talking piece that is following on from yesterday's live stream. I want to talk about shame, motivation, and how people, sometimes very deliberately, sometimes unwittingly, are using shame as an attempt to motivate people to do what they think that person should do. Now, let's be real. We've all jumped on calls with clients or potential clients, and we've really wanted them to sign up. And maybe we have done this whole process of pushing, thinking that we're helping. Now, I know that I have been on the receiving end of calls where I've been curious about what somebody does and potentially working with them or have worked with coaches. And if I'm not doing the conversation the way that the other person thinks I should be, they can get angry and defensive, or they can get in the motivational space and can get quite pushy. Maybe this has happened to you. Somebody's on the call going, well, I work with leaders. You're not showing up as a leader. Or if you really wanted this, you would do whatever it takes to get to that, blah, blah, blah. Usually it's wrapped around money for payments or committing to timeframes. Now, for some people, this kind of motivation will give them a boot up the butt and get them to take the action, which is great. But what we need to be very aware of when we're doing these sales calls or when we're talking to clients that we already have enrolled, that we are not triggering a trauma response. I had an experience recently where somebody decided to coach me without permission and told me I wasn't a leader. Said a few other things that were actually wrong and totally off track and totally inappropriate, right? So I haven't been in that situation for a while. I was like, wow, are people still talking to people like this? Because here's the thing, and my friend Ursula Faye, who does body-centered trauma release work, she summed it up perfectly. People with a trauma history will more often than not shut down. When you shame them, whether you are deliberately doing it or whether you think you are motivating them, they will shut down. It actually causes more harm than good. It can, for some people, feel like they are being abused. Now, none of us want to do that. But if you're working with people, whether to sign them up and enroll them or you're coaching people, you can only go the tough love approach with permission. You must ask permission to coach. Whether this is somebody you see showing up online and you think they could be doing something better, doing something differently, you don't agree, you don't think they're going to get to where they want to go, whatever, you have to ask permission to coach. And you have to let people know it's going to be tough love coaching. If you agree, type something in the comments. If you disagree, please type something in the comments as well. I think this needs to be discussed more because people are scared of sales and they get awkward. They push or they don't push or they do this. They're attempting to motivate. It gets messy. But tough love is only going to work with permission. And otherwise, you are potentially abusing people. It is the same as abuse. Stop using shame and pretending it's motivation. So I would love your opinions on this. Look, in the past, I've been taught techniques that use shame to get people to buy high-ticket items, and I was never able to use it. It felt uncomfortable. That's most likely because I have a trauma background. I've experienced this trauma. So please stop shaming people. Please use a kind and loving approach. If you have to shame people to buying your products, You need to work on your marketing. There's something broken in your system. It's not the other person over here. And be very, very aware of how it's showing up. And one final thing, I could rant about this forever. Permission to coach. Permission to coach. Permission, permission, permission. Anyway, please type your comments in the chat. If you're watching the replay of this, type them in the comments. I really want to have more of a conversation around this because I have a lot of very sensitive souls come to me sharing their trauma history around being pushed and bullied into buying programs that they couldn't afford, that weren't right, that they got no value out of, and they feel more shame and more traumatized in the process. We need to do better as a whole community of coaches, of salespeople, of whatever, wherever you fit in this space. And just remember, act from love. Act from love, because that's going to help people more in the long run.